Hey folks, Rob with ADV Pulse here, and today we've been testing the 2023 Suzuki V-Strom DE 1050. This is their top of the line adventure bike, and it's got a lot of changes that they've put together for the 2023 model. Surprisingly, this bike has really been transformed into more of an off-road bike than it ever was before. For instance, now it has a 21-inch front wheel instead of a 19-inch, and it's also got more suspension travel. So they put 0.43 in the front and 0.3 in the rear, and that brings it up to 6.3 in the front and 6.7 inches in the rear. So a little bump in the suspension travel, plus the taller front wheel brings that ground clearance up to a nice, increase of 1.2 inches. So I think one of the problems on the old V-Strom was that it would bottom out pretty quickly. Now this one, after getting in a full day of testing on it, I can tell you it's much improved. So in addition to that, they've also got an improved skid plate. Now it's a 3mm skid plate. It's still not super beefy, but it's not made of tinfoil like the old one, and it'll take some abuse. So a good starter skid plate, and you can also see these pretty beefy engine guards, crash bars, which are really nice as well. So those are new. Also has had other chassis improvements, like a longer swing arm, and that's also more rigid as well. So the geometry of the bike has changed a lot because of the new swing arm, as well as the 21-inch front that just brings the whole front end up higher. So it feels like a different bike for sure. Now another thing that's an off-road improvement is these foot pegs, which they come with rubbers that are easily removed. Another thing that they've done that's another improvement for once you're getting out in the dirt is a beefed up subframe. So that subframe right there has been strengthened so that it can handle more weight, and also just all the bumps and jolts that you're going to get when you're going down those dirt roads and hitting those bumps at speed. Now in the electronics department, they've also made a few improvements as well. They now have a 5-inch TFT screen that's controlled with a thumb controller on the left side, and that allows you to adjust your settings for traction control, ABS, and ride modes. So for the traction control, you have levels 1, 2, and 3, which are all different street levels, 3 being the most when you're in the rain or something like that, 1 being the least for more performance-oriented riding. Then you have a G mode for gravel, which is for off-road, and that gives you some slip in the dirt, but not too much, so it doesn't get too out of control. And then you can also turn it off. So the off mode is what I usually rode it in, but I did try the gravel mode and it works pretty well. So for more intermediate riders who are a little bit timid about getting that wheel spun around turns and things like that, they're probably going to want to put it in that gravel mode. And it's a nice safe mode that still allows you to spin it out a little bit and get you out of some trouble spots if you get into some sand or some mud or something like that without digging a hole. As far as ABS, you have 3 different modes. So there is level 1, which is more of a street mode. Then there's level 2, which is a little less intervention. You could use it off-road, but it's going to be on both the front and the rear. And then you have off, which basically turns the rear wheel off so you can slide it around, but it will keep the front on, and that's an off-road sensitive ABS in the front. And it works pretty good. I wouldn't say it's as sophisticated as some of the better off-road ABS systems I've used out there, but it works well enough to where you can go down some pretty steep hills and give it a decent level of trust. Now the ride modes, there's 3 different ride modes. They're A, B, and C is what they call them. A is full power with a very crisp throttle response. B is full power, but it has a more smooth throttle response. And then you've got C, which is reduced power and a smooth throttle response. So that's really more like your rain mode and off-road mode. So you can just detune the motor and it'll be a lot more docile for slippery situations.
All right.
As far as using the controls, I felt that the system was a little bit clunky. I was trying to change some of the parameters, some of the settings, and sometimes it just wouldn't select the setting the way I wanted it to, and you'd just be sitting there pushing the button trying to figure out what's going on. Also, the ride modes aren't really that intuitive, you know, with the ABC naming. I'd rather it be touring, street, rain, off-road, or something like that, which is more of the standard. So it works pretty good, but you do have a little bit of a basic system here, and it's not as good as some of the more sophisticated systems out there. One of the nice things it has is that once you flip your ignition switch off and leave the key on, you can retain your settings. So you can turn the traction control off completely, and ABS can be turned off on the rear, and I believe it has a off-road aware mode for the front wheel ABS, which works really well. I went down some pretty steep stuff today, so I can tell you that the front wheel did not start freaking out on some really slippery rocks. Anyway, the bike had some refinements for the off-road department and new graphics treatments. Really nice looking bike. And as far as the other interesting things about this bike, it's got a tube type front tire and a tubeless rear. So the idea behind it is, if a lot of off-road guys, including myself, will run a tube in the front just because you're likely to get a flat. And you know, when you have a tubeless front, you just dent that rim slightly and you're going to have a hard time keeping air in it, even if you bang it out with a hammer. So just put a tube in it right away is typical for a lot of off-road guys. And in the rear, rarely do you ever get a rear flat. So it's kind of nice to have tubeless, because then if you do get a puncture, you can just pop in a plug and you're done in 10 minutes. So what else? The bike also comes with a quick shifter, and that is a really nice feature, especially for off-road and also on-road. But off-road, when you're doing some technical type of riding and you just want to focus on the trail, to be able to just shift gears without worrying about whether your hand is in the correct position to grab the clutch is a nice feature. And of course, there's nothing like just banging through the gears on a nice back road or getting on your freeway intersections. You know, just on that on-ramp, just ripping through the gears with a quick shifter is a lot of fun. And oh yeah, one more little improvement they've got here is this new handlebar. So it's supposed to be wider and a little thicker, a little stronger. It's got a nice bend to it. I felt like it was comfortable on the road, on the highway, but perfect height. You can see it's got some kind of, you know, semi risers on there, stock. And those just bring up the bars to the perfect level for my height, and I'm 6'2", and I didn't feel like I was hunched over like certain bikes in the adventure class. So the ergos are good for standing. These pegs are slightly forward though, I would say, sort of like a chopper style, you know, with your feet forward style of riding position. And I think that's just sort of a comfort feature that Suzuki has always done with their V-Stroms, and just makes it more of a comfortable highway bike. So that does cut down a little bit of room in the cockpit. When you're standing up, you're a little bit close to the bars, which you know, throws it off slightly, but I got used to it pretty quickly. And again, the bars are nice and high, so felt very comfortable and didn't really notice the pegs that much. So what else? The other cool things that I've been checking out on this bike since I've started playing with it is the bike comes with a center stand. You know, a lot of these middleweight bikes, they don't come with them anymore, and that's something that is annoying to some people, and some people like it. I've sort of learned to like to have no center stand, because I just carry an enduro trail stand and I can prop the bike up when I get a flat. But just for chain maintenance and putting your bags on and all those kinds of things, when you've got a travel bike like this, it's really nice to have that center stand. So I say this style of bike, perfect to have that. You've also got a cruise control on this bike, which works really well, just intuitive. Don't really think about it, hit the button, you know, adjust your speed, and so save your wrist and just enjoy the ride. You've also got this rear rack, which is another nice travel feature. And it's small-ish, but I've been able to put my little tool bag on there, and also a nice duffel for a big enough duffel where you could put all your camping and stuff like that in there for a light camping setup or staying at a hotel. So it's nice that it comes with it and you don't have to buy that extra. It's pretty cool just to have these features on the bike straight from the factory. Again, Suzuki's really just making refinements to this bike, making sure that adventure riders get all the equipment straight out of the box so they don't have to just keep starting to customize as soon as they just dropped, you know, that big check. So you've got this USB port as well right here, which is pretty cool. And I also like this little cable holder, which keeps the cable from flopping around when you have your charging cable. So I'm running it to a phone, which is mounted on this very convenient GPS mount bar as well. It's kind of cool. It's really thick, so it's a lot easier to get a secure mount on there so it doesn't start slipping around once you start getting both wheels off the ground. So pretty cool little setup here, straight out of the factory. And as far as the suspension, it's got a lot of adjustability on it. I didn't touch a thing on it, and we went out and hit some pretty gnarly trails today. We went and did some of the more expert level trails. I was riding with a group of dirt bikes and a couple of adventure bikes, and all very experienced riders. And we did some pretty gnarly whoops. We did some pretty gnarly hill climbs, descents. You definitely can tell it's got some weight to it, some girth when you're going down those steep hills. A couple times, you know, you just be careful not to stab that rear brake because it just locks up immediately when all the weight is on the front. But that's like any big adventure bike, you know, they just don't like downhills too much. These descents are no joke. Oh yeah. I was pretty impressed with what I was able to do with it. I don't think I would have been able to do that on the old V-Strom 1000 that I tested back around 2018, I believe. So it's come a long way and it feels very comfortable. Like I said, the ergonomics feel great. As far as the suspension, that extra suspension travel stops it from bottoming out on every single rock. Now, I did not bottom out very often. A couple times here and there, you feel that rock just barely snap on it. But looking underneath there, I really didn't see any significant damage. Just a couple scratches, and it's holding up pretty well. So, considering the type of terrain we just did today, and pushing this bike into territory that it's not necessarily designed for, I was pretty impressed with what it could do. We also got a chance to do some twisties, and this bike goes around a turn very well. Also, considering that it had these 50/50 hiding out dual sport tires on it, you could get it leaned in, it turns really deep, no problem. The other cool thing is that it's a little bit higher off the ground with the ground clearance now. So with the previous V-Stroms, they're a little bit lower and they would start to scrape the pegs prematurely. Even though they were really great street bikes, it just took away from some of the fun. With this bike, it doesn't do that. You can get it leaned really far over, and I never scraped pegs once with it. As far as the engine, it's no rocket, but the motor gets up and goes. It's got plenty of power. It's got all the power you need on the street. The thing is, they've kept all the cool things about the V-Strom in terms of the motor, the street capability, that silky smooth V-twin. Just has power right off 2,000 RPMs, and that works great off-road. You really don't even need the traction control if you're light on the throttle. I could break it loose easily if I cranked it, but I really had to try because the motor is just so tractable. So one of the things about this bike that just makes it such a sweet bike is that incredible torque it has. Right. So this is the same 1037cc V-twin as last year's model. It's got 107 horsepower. So it's not a huge power horse, but it'll get up and go, and it's got some spunk to it, and it especially works well off-road, I think. So pretty sweet little motor there, and they just haven't messed anything up, I think, but they've improved things in terms of the off-road capability of this bike and made it a much sweeter package. About the only thing you'll notice with this bike that's still not that great off-road is that when you hit a sharp-edged rock, it just doesn't have that high-speed compression damping, and it'll let out a nice big clump. Also, the rear shock is a little bit soft for bigger bumps, and you do bottom it out here and there when you are in technical terrain. I haven't played around with any of the suspension settings, so some of that could be probably minimized, but it's definitely much better than the old V-Strom for sure. The suspension does feel pretty plush though when you get into the smaller rocks. It's got a nice soft ride for that kind of riding. But you do have to keep in mind this is a pretty heavy bike, and when you get into the softer terrain, it doesn't have a whole lot of front end feel and wants to tuck the front end a little bit. So you got to keep an eye out for that. Just ride with a little bit of caution there. So you just have to be aware this bike weighs 550 pounds. So at the end of the day, if you're riding off-road, it can be a little bit tiring, and if you do drop the bike, you know, it is going to be a little bit of a task to get it up, but that's just part of riding big bikes. Also, the turn signals are not designed for off-road. They're really more of like a street style blinker that has a solid hard base that's not flexible in any way. So if you do tip it over, or if your bag hits it, it can break them off. So just something to keep in mind if you plan to go off-road. Might be something you want to upgrade to a more off-road oriented blinker. I'd say, you know, more suspension travel would be nice, but then it could take away from some of the other aspects of this bike that a lot of people are going to appreciate. It's got a seat height as well of 36.4, I believe. So that is, you know, right in the range of being tippy for a lot of people, and they probably don't want to make it any taller. With all these new improvements that they've made to the 1050, it makes me even more interested in trying out the 800, which is an even more off-road specific model. Looking forward to testing that one, so stay tuned for that one. But for now, I'm going to continue testing, continue pushing the limits on this bike and seeing what it can do, and so far it's keeping a smile on my face. As always, if you have any questions about the 1050DE, leave them in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this content, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.